Picture standing at the edge of your life and realizing that every part of it, your routines, your beliefs, your expectations, can be rebuilt into something stronger, clearer, and more aligned with who you want to become. Change doesn't wait for permission. It begins the moment you choose to rise above the version of yourself you've outgrown. This audiobook is a journey into complete transformation, where every mindset, every habit, every hidden limitation gets upgraded into something sharper and more powerful. You're not just improving small pieces, you're elevating the entire structure of your life. With every chapter, you step closer to the person you were always capable of being, but never fully allowed yourself to become. This is your turning point. This is where reinvention stops being a dream and becomes a decision. This is the moment you choose to upgrade every single thing and unlock a life that finally matches your potential. A single decision has the power to shift the entire path of your life, but it rarely feels extraordinary in the beginning. It often emerges quietly, in a moment where you finally become honest with yourself about what you want and what you can no longer tolerate. This decision carries the weight of your future, even if the world doesn't recognize its significance. It marks the point where you stop accepting the version of life you've been surviving. From that inner shift, everything around you slowly begins to rearrange, and what once felt impossible starts revealing a clearer path forward. This kind of decision doesn't require permission from anyone. It rises from a part of you that is tired of living below your potential. It whispers for change long before you fully understand it. You begin noticing how deeply your habits, choices, and comfort zones have shaped your direction. The realization becomes a spark, small but powerful. This spark pushes you to question the patterns that held you still for so long. In questioning them, you prepare yourself for a transformation that feels long overdue. Choosing a new direction requires courage, because it challenges everything familiar. You start letting go of routines that once felt safe, even though they kept you stagnant. You begin stepping toward a version of yourself that feels distant yet strangely familiar. That version calls to you, urging you to rise above the limitations you've outgrown. As you listen, the path ahead becomes less intimidating. You start trusting that this shift is not reckless. It's necessary for growth, clarity, and evolution. The decision to upgrade your life begins by acknowledging the truth about where you stand. You see the places where you've settled, the dreams you postponed, and the potential you ignored. This truth isn't meant to create guilt. It is meant to awaken possibility. You realize you are not obligated to stay in environments that no longer align with who you want to become. With this awareness, the desire to elevate your life strengthens. That desire becomes a source of momentum, pulling you into motion. Every major change begins internally, long before it appears externally. You may still be in the same place physically, but mentally you have already stepped into a new direction. This internal shift shapes your choices, and your choices shape your future. As your mindset adjusts, old desires fade, and new priorities form. These priorities lead you toward people, experiences, and opportunities that match your growth. Gradually, the world around you begins reflecting the transformation within you. That reflection confirms the importance of your decision. The decision that redirects your life often arrives after a long period of feeling stuck. You sense something pulling you forward, refusing to let you remain in old patterns. The discomfort pushes you to reconsider what you allow, what you accept, and what you chase. This reflection brings clarity you once avoided. With clarity comes understanding. Understanding gives you the strength to take the first step. That first step becomes the foundation for every upgrade that follows. Upgrading your life requires honest evaluation of your environment. You begin recognizing what nourishes your spirit and what drains it. You identify the habits that strengthen your growth and the ones that sabotage your progress. These observations guide your transformation. As you adjust your surroundings, your energy shifts. As your energy shifts, your choices evolve, and through these choices, your direction becomes unmistakably clear. Change becomes unavoidable because you've committed to more than who you used to be. Choosing a new direction means choosing alignment over convenience. It means being willing to walk away from comfort in exchange for purpose. You stop making decisions based on fear and begin making them based on possibility. This shift opens doors that once remained unseen. It pushes you into moments that test your resilience, but reward your courage. Each test becomes evidence that you are capable of more than you once believed. And with every challenge overcome, your confidence grows. This decision also redefines your relationship with time. You stop wasting your energy on distractions and start investing it with intention. Time becomes a tool rather than something that slips through your fingers. You begin structuring your days in a way that supports your evolution. The more intentional you become, the more your life reflects your commitment. Your direction becomes less influenced by impulse and more guided by purpose. Purpose becomes the compass that keeps you moving forward. The moment you commit to upgrading every part of yourself, you feel a shift in how you perceive your potential. What once felt out of reach becomes attainable. You realize that the limits you believed in were often self-created. As you break through them, your inner world expands. This expansion influences everything: how you think, how you act, how you show up. You begin embodying the version of yourself you once only imagined. Embodiment strengthens your momentum. Choosing a new direction means embracing uncertainty without letting it stop you. Uncertainty becomes a companion rather than an obstacle. You learn to walk forward even when the path is not fully visible. This faith in your future transforms your mindset. You stop doubting your ability to grow and begin trusting your potential to rise. This trust becomes the fuel for your journey, and with every step, the uncertainty feels less intimidating. The decision to upgrade everything also requires releasing identities you've outgrown. You let go of the roles you played to keep others comfortable. You stop shrinking to fit into places that don't support your evolution. In shedding these layers, you discover parts of yourself that were buried beneath expectations. These rediscovered parts guide your transformation. They remind you of who you were meant to be. That reminder becomes a source of strength. Upgrading your direction means setting boundaries that protect your progress. You stop allowing distractions to pull you away from your path. You learn to say no without apology. You create space for growth rather than filling your life with noise. This space becomes essential for clarity. Clarity enhances your decisions. Your decisions shape your transformation. Through this process, you begin recognizing the power of protecting your time and energy. As you move in a new direction, you notice how your perspective expands. You begin interpreting challenges differently. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, you see them as opportunities to refine your abilities. This shift transforms how you navigate difficulties. You stop resisting discomfort and start learning from it. Learning strengthens your resilience. Resilience supports your elevation. Elevation becomes a natural response to every obstacle you face. Your decision also changes the people who surround you. Some will align with your growth, while others may fade away. This adjustment is part of the process. You begin attracting individuals who match your new frequency, people who encourage your progress and challenge you to evolve. These relationships reinforce your commitment to growth. Commitment fuels consistency. Consistency ensures that your new direction becomes your new normal. Choosing to upgrade your entire life brings awareness to how deeply your thoughts influence your reality. you start paying attention to the beliefs that shape your daily choices. If a belief limits your potential, you replace it with one that expands it. These internal adjustments create external transformation. Transformation reshapes your identity. Identity becomes aligned with the future you're creating. That alignment strengthens your direction. Your new direction demands bravery. You confront truths that were once easier to avoid. You face patterns that once felt too painful to acknowledge. By confronting them, you take your power back. This reclamation becomes the beginning of self-mastery. Mastery allows you to navigate your life with intention rather than autopilot. Intentional living sharpens your clarity. Clarity keeps your path illuminated. The decision that changes everything also teaches you patience. Growth takes time, and progress is rarely linear. But patience allows you to stay grounded even when results aren't immediate. You learn to trust the process instead of rushing it. This trust deepens your connection to your journey. As you grow, you appreciate each step more fully. Appreciation strengthens your momentum toward the life you're building. Walking in a new direction reshapes your relationship with fear. Fear no longer controls your decisions. It becomes something you acknowledge and move through. You stop allowing fear to dictate your limits. Instead, you use it as a signal that you are stepping into something meaningful. Each time you push past fear, your courage expands. Expanded courage transforms your identity. That transformation reinforces your commitment to upgrading everything. This decision becomes the catalyst for rewriting your entire life. You begin living with more intention, more clarity, and more purpose. Old patterns dissolve, new habits form, and your direction shifts permanently. Every part of your life begins to reflect this commitment. Your mindset, your choices, your relationships, your ambitions. The transformation may not happen all at once, but it unfolds with undeniable momentum. And through this unfolding, you realize just how powerful one decision can be. A new direction doesn't just change your path, it changes you. It awakens a version of yourself that feels stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your truth. This journey becomes the foundation of your upgraded life. And as you continue forward, you discover that the greatest transformation begins not with action, but with the choice to believe that you deserve more than the life you were settling for. From that belief, everything rises. Clearing out the life you've outgrown begins with an honest look at what no longer aligns with your evolution. The routines that once felt comfortable start feeling restrictive. The environments that once felt familiar begin feeling too small. You sense that the person you were is still present, but the person you're becoming needs more space. This realization encourages you to release pieces of your old world as you shed them. The weight you carried quietly begins to lift. That lift creates room for a new version of yourself to emerge. Letting go is not always easy, because familiarity creates the illusion of safety. You may hold on to habits, relationships, and identities long after they've served their purpose. But as growth becomes your priority, you start recognizing how these outdated parts limit your expansion. You begin understanding that staying attached to what has expired keeps you from stepping into what is meant for you. This understanding pushes you toward release. Release becomes the first step toward renewal. Renewal opens the door to transformation. Old patterns often cling tightly because they are rooted in memories, emotions, and comfort. Clearing them out requires compassion for who you used to be. You acknowledge the versions of yourself that navigated life with limited tools and unconscious habits. Instead of judging that version, you embrace it. Embracing your past self allows you to move forward without resentment. This compassion softens the process of letting go. Softness allows growth to unfold with grace. Grace guides your next steps. As you clear out the life you've outgrown, you begin noticing how much space emotional clutter occupies. Old fears, outdated beliefs, and unresolved hurt create noise that clouds your clarity. Releasing these layers feels like removing a fog from around your heart. You finally see your desires more clearly and recognize the direction you genuinely want to pursue. This clarity becomes a compass. The compass points toward expansion. Expansion requires letting go of everything that keeps you small. Clearing out your old life also means distancing yourself from people who no longer match your growth. Some individuals thrive in your former version because it was easy, predictable, or convenient for them. As you evolve, they may resist your changes. Their resistance is not a reflection of your progress, but of their attachment to who you used to be. Creating distance from these connections allows you to protect your growth. That protection strengthens your boundaries. Strong boundaries support your transformation. Your environment has a powerful influence on your direction. Clearing out the life you've outgrown includes adjusting your surroundings to match your new priorities. You begin removing distractions that drain your energy. You create order where there was once chaos. This process enhances your mental clarity. Clarity empowers your decisions. Each empowered decision becomes a step toward a life that reflects who you are becoming. As you release old attachments, you start discovering parts of yourself that were hidden beneath layers of routine and obligation. These rediscovered parts carry creativity, ambition, and potential you once neglected. Their emergence feels refreshing, like reconnecting with a forgotten strength. This strength inspires new choices. Those choices bring you closer to the life you want to build. Building your future begins with honoring these reawakened parts. Clearing out your old life also involves examining the beliefs that shaped your identity. Many of these beliefs formed during moments of pain, uncertainty, or limitation. They once helped you survive, but now they hold you back. Rewriting these beliefs requires courage, because it means challenging the narratives you've carried for years. Yet with each belief replaced, your confidence grows. Confidence strengthens your mindset. A strengthened mindset supports your evolution. The process of clearing out your old life is not about erasing your past. It is about honoring it while choosing not to remain defined by it. You can appreciate the lessons while releasing the limitations. You can acknowledge the experiences while refusing to repeat the cycles. This balance gives you emotional freedom. Emotional freedom supports your ability to grow without hesitation. Growth becomes more natural when the past stops pulling you backward. As you let go of what no longer fits, you create emotional and mental space for new experiences. This empty space is not a void, it is an invitation. It invites clarity, peace, and opportunity into your life. The more space you open, the more aligned experiences find their way to you. Alignment feels effortless. Effortlessness becomes a sign that you are on the right path. Clearing out the life you've outgrown also means redefining your priorities. You start choosing what nurtures you instead of what exhausts you. You choose what empowers you instead of what restricts you. These new priorities reshape your day-to-day actions. Your actions reflect your values. Values rooted in growth elevate every aspect of your life. Elevation becomes a natural consequence of your transformation. During this process, you may notice a shift in how you view yourself. You become more aware of your strengths and more patient with your weaknesses. This self-awareness replaces judgment with understanding. Understanding deepens your connection to your inner world. With this connection, your goals become clearer. Clear goals give direction to your growth. Direction shapes the future you're stepping into. Clearing out your old life requires emotional bravery. You face the fears that kept you repeating old cycles. You confront the habits that once felt comforting but ultimately held you back. This confrontation creates discomfort, yet discomfort signals progress. Progress becomes your new form of motivation. Motivation pushes you harder toward your evolution. Evolution becomes inevitable when you commit to growth. Letting go often reveals how much of your identity was tied to people, roles, and expectations. As you detach from these external definitions, you begin rediscovering who you are without them. This rediscovery feels grounding. It reconnects you with your authenticity. Authenticity becomes the foundation for the life you're building. A foundation rooted in authenticity remains unshakable. Clearing out the life you've outgrown also helps you recognize how much energy you wasted on things that added little value. You begin reserving your time and effort for what aligns with your purpose. Wasted energy is replaced with focused intention. Focus amplifies your results. Amplified results reinforce your belief that change is possible. Belief sustains momentum. As you clear away old patterns, new habits begin forming naturally. These habits reflect discipline, clarity, and commitment rather than avoidance and complacency. You start showing up differently, responding differently, and thinking differently. Each new habit supports a higher version of yourself. This version carries the confidence to pursue bigger goals. Big goals become achievable when your mind and life are no longer cluttered. Clearing out your old life also changes your emotional reactions. Instead of reacting from old wounds, you respond from a place of awareness and growth. This shift brings stability into your life. Stability gives you the freedom to choose rather than simply react. Each choice strengthens your self-control. Strengthened control helps you maintain your new direction. Maintaining direction becomes easier with a clear emotional foundation. As you continue releasing what no longer fits, you notice your heart becoming lighter. Emotional heaviness fades. Old frustration loses its grip. You feel more aligned with your future than your past. This alignment fuels your sense of purpose. Purpose guides your daily actions. Guided actions accelerate your transformation. Clearing out your old life also invites new opportunities that were once blocked by outdated patterns. These opportunities may come quietly, but they match your upgraded identity. You recognize them easily because they align with your growth. Accepting them becomes natural. Natural progression replaces forced effort. Forced effort disappears when you live in alignment. By the time the old life has been cleared, you no longer feel tied to the version of yourself who accepted less. You stand in a new space, one built with intention, clarity, and strength. The world around you feels different because you are different. Your path feels open, your mind feels free, and your heart feels ready. Ready to rise. Ready to grow. Ready to step into everything you once thought was out of reach. Rebuilding your inner world begins with the understanding that transformation cannot happen on a shaky foundation. You start noticing the cracks in the beliefs you once trusted, the doubts that shaped your choices, and the fears that guided your reactions. These inner structures held you for years, yet they were built from survival, not strength. As you examine them honestly, you realize they need to be replaced rather than repaired. This realization marks the start of internal construction. Construction that reshapes everything you become. When rebuilding from the ground up, you begin clearing away the emotional rubble left by old experiences. The disappointments, the expectations, the limitations, each one becomes debris you no longer want to carry. Releasing them creates a quiet emptiness inside you. This emptiness is not a loss. It is a fresh canvas, a space where new beliefs, new confidence, and new direction can finally take form. The more you clear, the more grounded you feel. Groundedness supports your rebuilding. Your inner world grows stronger when you replace fear with understanding. Fear once dictated your choices, but now you begin seeing its origins. You trace it back to moments when you felt small, uncertain, or unheard. Understanding these origins softens the fear's influence. It loses its ability to control your decisions. As this fear dissolves, strength emerges in its place, strength that shapes the blueprint of your new inner world. Rebuilding requires patience, because the foundation you are creating must hold the weight of your future. You begin challenging thoughts that once felt absolute. You question old assumptions that kept you limited. You replace them with beliefs that empower instead of restrain. These new beliefs act as pillars in your internal structure, pillars that reinforce your self-worth. With each one strengthened, your identity becomes more resilient. As you rebuild, you start listening to your inner voice with more intention. This voice was always present, but it was buried under noise and doubt. Now, with the old clutter removed, it becomes clearer. It guides you toward choices that reflect your values rather than your fears. Following this voice becomes a practice in trust. Trust strengthens your emotional foundation. A strong foundation allows your inner world to rise steadily. Rebuilding your inner world also means learning to sit with your emotions rather than avoiding them. You begin acknowledging feelings you once ignored: hurt, disappointment, resentment, longing. These emotions surface not to overwhelm you, but to be released. By giving them space, they lose their power to disrupt your progress. This emotional honesty brings clarity. Clarity creates stability. Stability supports your growth. Your inner world becomes stronger each time you choose self-awareness over denial. You examine the patterns that shaped your behavior and recognize their origins. This awareness helps you break cycles that no longer serve you. As you break them, you create new patterns rooted in intention. These new patterns reflect who you want to become, not who you were forced to be. Becoming aligned with this new identity shifts your entire internal landscape. Rebuilding from the ground up also changes how you treat yourself. You replace harsh self-talk with compassion, unrealistic pressure with patience, and comparison with acceptance. This shift softens your internal environment. It becomes a space where growth is encouraged rather than discouraged. Compassion nurtures emotional strength. Strength reinforces your internal rebuilding. Your inner world expands when you set new boundaries within yourself. Boundaries around overthinking, self-sabotage, and emotional overstretching. You begin protecting your mind from thoughts that drain your confidence. Instead, you choose thoughts that support your direction. Each protected thought becomes a building block. These blocks stack into new levels of focus. Focus ensures your inner structure rises with purpose. Rebuilding also means redefining your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing it as a sign to stop, you begin viewing it as guidance. Failure reveals what needs adjustment rather than what needs abandonment. With this mindset, you rebuild with resilience rather than fear. Resilience becomes a cornerstone of your inner world. That cornerstone keeps you moving even when the path feels uncertain. Your inner world strengthens when you surround yourself with inspiration. Whether it comes from people, environments, or ideas, inspiration fuels your desire to evolve. It reminds you that growth is possible even after difficult seasons. This reminder becomes motivation. Motivation pushes you deeper into your rebuilding process. The deeper you go, the more authentic your transformation becomes. Rebuilding from the ground up teaches you to honor your pace. You stop forcing progress and start allowing it. Some days will be filled with breakthroughs. Others will be slower. Both are necessary. Honoring your pace prevents burnout and encourages consistency. Consistency forms the backbone of your new internal structure. A strong backbone supports long-term change. As you rebuild, you begin choosing thoughts that empower your future instead of defending your past. You stop explaining your pain and start deciding what you want to feel next. This shift transforms your emotional energy. It moves you from survival to creation. Creation becomes the heart of your inner rebuilding. With each intentional thought, your foundation strengthens. Rebuilding your inner world also means reconnecting with your lost ambitions. Dreams you once buried begin resurfacing. You start imagining possibilities you once dismissed. These dreams fuel your internal expansion. Expansion turns hope into direction. Direction gives purpose to your rebuilding. Purpose anchors your new identity. You also learn to release the shame attached to past choices. You begin understanding that each choice was made with the knowledge you had at the time. This understanding replaces judgment with compassion. Compassion frees you from emotional anchors. Freedom opens more space to build the version of yourself you desire. Desire becomes the spark of your inner transformation. Rebuilding requires embracing solitude without fear. Solitude becomes the place where you hear your thoughts clearly, feel your emotions honestly, and understand yourself deeply. This inner clarity acts as a construction tool. With it you build with accuracy instead of confusion. Accuracy ensures your internal structure doesn't crumble under pressure. It ensures your growth is sustainable. Your inner world transforms when you stop seeking external validation. You begin trusting your own insight and intuition. Validation becomes internal rather than borrowed from others. This internal validation strengthens your decision-making. Strong decisions reinforce your confidence. Confidence supports the rise of your reconstructed inner world. Rebuilding from the ground up also means forgiving yourself for the times you stayed small. You recognize that growth required awareness you didn't yet have. Now that you possess that awareness, you use it wisely. Forgiveness releases emotional tension. Released tension allows your new identity to unfold naturally. Natural unfolding deepens your transformation. As your inner world forms a new foundation, you feel a shift in how you carry yourself. You move with more intention, more clarity, and more certainty. Your choices reflect your growth rather than your wounds. This shift signals that you are no longer controlled by outdated narratives. Instead, you are guided by a new internal structure, a structure built from strength, clarity, and self-respect. By the time your inner world is rebuilt, you no longer identify with the version of yourself that accepted less. You rise with a new perspective, a new mindset, and a new emotional blueprint. The foundation beneath you feels solid, and the future ahead feels open. You stand rooted in who you've become, ready to build the rest of your life on the strength of your own reconstruction. Raising your personal standard begins the moment you realize that the life you desire cannot be built with the habits, choices, and expectations you've been settling for. Your standards become the invisible instructions that shape everything around you: your relationships, your work, your discipline, and your self-worth. When those standards rise, your entire life must adjust to match them. This internal shift doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with one powerful commitment: refusing to live below the level of your potential. As you elevate your standards, you begin noticing how often you accepted situations that offered little growth. You start questioning why you tolerated behavior that drained you, or environments that limited you. These reflections reveal the gap between who you were and who you want to become. Closing that gap requires courage, because higher standards demand honesty. Honesty forces you to confront the ways you abandoned your own needs. Through that confrontation, strength begins forming. Raising your standard means refusing to negotiate your worth. You no longer wait for others to treat you with respect. Your new expectations require it. When someone falls short of those expectations, you respond with clarity rather than hesitation. This shift creates boundaries that feel natural instead of forced. These boundaries protect your growth and filter your connections. The more you honor them, the more aligned your relationships become. Alignment transforms the quality of your life. Personal standards also influence your relationship with time. You stop wasting hours on distractions that offer nothing meaningful. Instead, you invest your time in what strengthens your mind, refines your habits, and supports your goals. This investment changes your daily rhythm. Your choices become sharper, your focus becomes stronger, and your priorities become clearer. Each intentional decision elevates your direction. That elevation reflects your commitment to a higher standard. When you raise your standards, your environment must evolve. The spaces you occupy begin to matter more because you understand how deeply surroundings influence your energy. You organize your life to support clarity rather than chaos. This shift may seem simple, but it creates powerful momentum. A supportive environment nurtures consistency. Consistency reinforces growth. Growth reinforces your elevated standards. An upgraded standard requires self-discipline, because the new version of your life must be earned. You start choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. You stop indulging in habits that drain your potential and begin cultivating habits that strengthen it. These choices are not always easy, but they reshape you from the inside out. Each disciplined action becomes evidence of your transformation. This evidence becomes motivation to continue rising. Raising your standards also shifts the way you speak to yourself. You no longer use language that diminishes your value. Instead, you speak with intention, power, and self-respect. Your internal dialogue becomes a tool for growth rather than a source of doubt. This shift influences how you view opportunities and challenges. You begin approaching life with confidence instead of hesitation. Confidence reinforces your new identity. Your personal standard affects the people you attract. Individuals who once fit comfortably into your life may begin falling away. They no longer align with your growth, and your higher expectations make that incompatibility clear. This separation is not rejection, it is refinement. As you let go of relationships that no longer support your evolution, you create space for connections rooted in authenticity and respect. These connections strengthen your journey. As your standards rise, you become more selective with your energy. You stop giving your time to situations that drain you and invest it in experiences that uplift you. You begin choosing conversations that expand your mind rather than shrink your potential. This selectivity is not a limitation, it's liberation. Liberation allows you to direct your energy toward what truly matters. What matters becomes your new foundation. Raising your standards challenges you to rethink your comfort zone. The familiar no longer feels satisfying because you have outgrown it. You start pursuing goals that stretch you mentally and emotionally. The discomfort of growth becomes more bearable than the discomfort of staying stagnant. This shift strengthens your resilience. Resilience helps you move through challenges without losing sight of your vision. Your vision grows clearer as your standards rise. As your expectations shift, your behavior follows. You begin doing the things you once avoided because they felt too difficult or unfamiliar. You become willing to learn, willing to adapt, and willing to take responsibility for your progress. This willingness accelerates your transformation. Transformation requires effort, and effort becomes easier when your standards demand it. Demand shapes discipline. Raising your personal standard also changes how you handle disappointment. Instead of lowering your expectations to avoid being hurt, you start maintaining them even in the face of setbacks. These setbacks become lessons rather than reasons to settle. You use them to refine your approach, strengthen your mindset, and reinforce your worth. Each lesson deepens your maturity. Maturity strengthens your commitment to your elevated life. Your standards influence your long-term choices. You begin planning with intention instead of reacting impulsively. You stop engaging in cycles that waste your energy and start creating pathways that support your future. These pathways guide you toward a life that feels aligned with your ambition. Ambition becomes a driving force rather than a distant dream. The more you honor it, the more your life evolves. As your personal standard rises, your emotional capacity expands. You learn to process your feelings without letting them control your actions. You understand your triggers, your patterns, and your vulnerabilities. This emotional awareness becomes strength. Strength allows you to navigate life with clarity and composure. Composure becomes a reflection of your inner discipline. Raising your standards also influences the way you handle opportunities. You stop saying yes to everything and begin choosing only what aligns with your growth. This discernment prevents burnout and preserves your energy for what truly supports your evolution. Selective decisions create direction. Direction turns chaos into purpose. Purpose becomes your anchor as you continue elevating your life. Your elevated standards push you to envision a future that once felt unrealistic. You no longer shrink your goals to fit your doubts. Instead, you expand your expectations to match your potential. This expansion reshapes how you view success. Success becomes a natural outcome of aligned effort. Effort guided by elevated standards leads to long-term achievement. As you raise your standards, you begin holding yourself accountable with a new level of honesty. You stop making excuses for inaction and start addressing the behaviors that keep you stagnant. Accountability becomes empowering rather than painful. It ensures that your growth is intentional, not accidental. Intentional growth keeps you aligned with your higher vision. Elevating your standards changes the way you show up for yourself every day. You take care of your mind, your body, your emotions, and your dreams with more commitment. You stop betraying yourself for temporary comfort. This dedication creates a life built on integrity. Integrity strengthens your identity. Your identity becomes aligned with who you are becoming. By the time your standards rise to a new level, you realize how deeply they shape your reality. You see how they influence your confidence, your relationships, your direction, and your opportunities. You begin to understand that the life you settle for is always a reflection of the standards you hold. When those standards rise, your life rises with them. And from that higher ground, you see possibilities that once seemed unreachable. Upgrading your energy begins with recognizing how deeply your internal state influences the direction of your life. When your energy is scattered, so are your choices. When your energy is drained, so is your ambition. But when your energy is intentional, everything you pursue becomes sharper, clearer, and more powerful. This realization marks a shift in how you treat yourself. You begin understanding that protecting your energy is the foundation of reshaping your entire future. And once that foundation is strengthened, your life begins to rise with it. Your focus becomes clearer when your energy is no longer diluted by distractions. You stop pouring yourself into situations that offer nothing in return. You begin filtering your environment with more precision, choosing what deserves your attention and what no longer qualifies. This filtering is not about restriction. It is about direction. The more you refine your focus, the more aligned your actions become. Aligned actions create momentum. Momentum pushes your future forward. Upgrading your energy requires examining where it flows and where it leaks. You recognize the people, habits, and behaviors that quietly drain your spirit. You notice how often you allow emotional noise to interrupt your clarity. By acknowledging these patterns, you begin shifting your energy toward what strengthens you. This shift feels empowering, as if you're reclaiming parts of yourself you didn't realize were slipping away. Reclaimed energy becomes the fuel for your transformation. Your future is shaped by the quality of your focus. When you direct your attention with intention, you begin seeing opportunities that were once hidden behind distraction. This clarity helps you move with purpose instead of impulse. Purpose anchors your decisions. Anchored decisions create long-term growth. Growth becomes the bridge between your present and the future you're building. Upgrading your energy also means becoming selective with your emotional availability. You stop giving your heart to situations that leave you empty. You stop offering your presence to people who do not value it. This emotional discipline does not harden you. It refines you. It preserves your energy for what aligns with your path. As your emotional world becomes more protected, your focus strengthens. With stronger focus, your future becomes easier to shape. Your energy shifts dramatically when you release the weight of self-doubt. Doubt has a way of draining your confidence and slowing your progress. By replacing doubt with self-trust, you redirect energy toward growth rather than fear. This trust becomes a stabilizing force within you. It guides your decisions and strengthens your resilience. With resilience, your future becomes something you approach with intention instead of hesitation. Upgrading your focus begins with redefining what deserves your attention. You no longer chase validation, approval, or temporary comfort. Instead, you choose actions that support your evolution. This choice creates a sense of alignment that influences every part of your life. You stop letting distractions dictate your direction. Direction becomes something you create, not something you follow blindly. Creation strengthens your purpose. Your energy becomes more powerful when you stop allowing negativity to drain it. You begin distancing yourself from environments that disrupt your peace. You choose conversations that uplift rather than diminish. This selective energy exchange becomes a form of self-respect. As your energy becomes more purified, your mind becomes clearer. Clarity shapes the path ahead. Your future thrives on clarity. Upgrading your future means strengthening your internal foundation. You become aware of how your thoughts influence your reality. Thoughts once rooted in fear are replaced with thoughts rooted in possibility. This shift transforms your perspective. You begin envisioning a life that reflects your highest potential. Vision becomes a guide that directs your focus. Focus transforms your energy into results. Your energy grows when you embrace responsibility for your own growth. You stop waiting for external change and begin creating internal change. This empowerment shifts the way you move through life. Instead of reacting, you start initiating. Instead of doubting, you start believing. Each intentional action strengthens your sense of capability. Capability becomes the foundation of your upgraded future. Upgrading your focus also means learning to be present. Instead of living in past regrets or future fears, you bring your attention to the moment in front of you. Presence strengthens your clarity. It helps you make decisions rooted in awareness rather than habit. As you practice presence, your mind becomes less chaotic. This calm strengthens your ability to focus on what matters. Focus creates direction. Your energy upgrades when you commit to consistency. Small, steady actions create massive shifts over time. Even on days when progress feels slow, your consistency builds momentum. This momentum strengthens your confidence. Confidence fuels your ambition. Ambition sends your future into motion. The connection between energy and focus becomes undeniable. Upgrading your future also requires replacing comfort with growth. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it pushes you into unfamiliar territory. But this discomfort expands your capacity. It shows you what you're capable of when you stop limiting yourself. As your capacity grows, your energy rises. With rising energy, your future expands. The expansion becomes a reflection of your internal evolution. Your focus becomes sharper when you remove mental clutter. You stop overthinking situations that don't deserve your attention. You stop replaying memories that drain your spirit. This mental decluttering creates space for clarity. Clarity invites purpose. Purpose guides your steps into the future with confidence. Confidence carries you further than doubt ever could. Upgrading your energy requires protecting your peace. Peace becomes a priority rather than an afterthought. You begin understanding that without peace, growth becomes harder. By prioritizing peace, you strengthen your emotional stability. Stability allows your focus to deepen. Deepened focus opens the door to a future shaped by intention instead of chaos. Your future transforms when you stop running from your potential. You start acknowledging how much you've been holding back. This acknowledgement becomes fuel. It pushes you to show up differently, think differently, and act differently. Each upgraded action strengthens your inner world. Your strengthened inner world becomes the blueprint for your future. Your energy grows when you detach from outcomes. You learn to trust the process without forcing control. This release creates flow. Flow reduces resistance and increases creativity. Creativity enhances your ability to navigate challenges. Challenges turn into stepping stones rather than barriers. Each stepping stone shapes your upgraded future. Upgrading your focus means choosing direction over distraction. Distraction once consumed your time and energy, but now you recognize its cost. As you remove these distractions, you reclaim mental space. This space allows your mind to expand. Expanded thinking leads to expanded possibilities. Possibilities shape the next chapter of your life. Your energy transforms when you adopt a mindset based on growth rather than limitation. You begin appreciating progress rather than perfection. This shift releases pressure and increases momentum. Momentum becomes a driving force. With each step forward, your vision feels more attainable. Your future becomes an unfolding reality rather than a distant dream. By the time your energy, focus, and future are upgraded, you stand in a different version of yourself. You feel stronger, clearer, and more aligned. Your choices reflect your growth, your habits reflect your discipline, and your mindset reflects your transformation. The life ahead of you expands because you expanded first, and in that expansion, you realize that upgrading your energy and focus is the first step toward upgrading everything you will ever become. Stepping into the identity you were meant to become begins with recognizing that your true self has been waiting beneath layers of fear, conditioning, and expectations placed on you long before you understood their impact. You start noticing the parts of yourself that feel undeveloped, not because you lacked capability, but because you were never given the space to grow into them. As these parts rise to the surface, you begin understanding how much potential has been quietly waiting for acknowledgement. This awareness becomes the bridge between who you were and who you're stepping into. And once you cross it, turning back no longer feels possible. Your true identity reveals itself through choices that align with your growth rather than your comfort. You begin noticing how certain decisions feel heavy, while others feel liberating. The liberating ones point toward your authentic self. As you follow them, even in small ways, you begin feeling more connected to the version of yourself you always sensed but couldn't fully access. That connection strengthens with every act of self-honoring. Honoring yourself becomes a commitment that reshapes your inner world. Stepping into your true identity often requires letting go of the roles you played to fit into places where you never truly belonged. You may have adopted behaviors to be accepted, loved, or understood. But now those behaviors feel unnatural because they were never meant to define you. Shedding these roles feels like removing heavy armor you no longer need. Beneath that armor is a self that feels lighter, clearer, and more aligned. Alignment becomes the foundation of your transformation. Your identity evolves as you replace self-doubt with self-trust. Doubt once convinced you to shrink your ambitions, silence your voice, and choose safety over possibility. But when you trust yourself, you stop negotiating your potential. This trust doesn't arise overnight. It grows from showing up for yourself consistently. Each promise kept strengthens your confidence. Confidence becomes the doorway to the future version of you. Stepping into your true identity demands courage because it challenges old beliefs about who you thought you were. These beliefs were built from past experiences, but they no longer reflect your present strength. You begin dismantling them piece by piece, replacing them with narratives rooted in empowerment rather than limitation. This rebuilding process shapes a new internal landscape. That landscape reflects possibility rather than restriction. Your identity shifts when you stop allowing the opinions of others to dictate your direction. You understand that approval is unpredictable, and attempting to earn it only distances you from your authentic path. Instead, you choose to value your own perception of yourself. This decision frees you from countless expectations. Freedom gives you the clarity to define your life without external noise. Clarity reveals the identity you were always meant to embody. Stepping into your true identity also requires embracing solitude. Solitude becomes the space where your real thoughts, desires, and dreams rise without interference. In this quiet space, you see yourself more clearly. You learn what matters to you and what was only borrowed from others. This clarity helps you build an identity that is rooted in authenticity rather than influence. Authenticity becomes your compass. Your identity strengthens when you confront your fears instead of avoiding them. Fear often disguises itself as caution, but underneath it lies the potential for growth. When you face it, you begin reclaiming power that fear once held. This reclaimed power reshapes your internal narrative. Your new narrative supports courage, intention, and direction. Direction turns fear into fuel rather than a barrier. Stepping into the identity you were meant to become means challenging the limitations you once accepted as truth. You begin questioning the invisible barriers that shaped your life. These barriers lose their power when you stop believing in them. As they dissolve, new opportunities appear where you once saw obstacles. These opportunities guide you toward a life that reflects your true capability. Capability strengthens your evolution. Your identity evolves each time you choose discipline over excuses. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about showing up for the life you want. When you act in alignment with your goals, your identity shifts to match that level of commitment. This repeated alignment creates lasting transformation. Transformation becomes a natural extension of your effort. Your effort becomes evidence of who you are becoming. Stepping into your true identity requires acknowledging your strengths without minimizing them. Many people hide their gifts to avoid discomfort or judgment, but your strengths are not accidents. They are signs of the identity you were designed to embody. When you embrace them, you begin moving through life with more confidence. This confidence shapes your posture, your expectations, and your decisions. These shifts reinforce your elevated identity. Your identity expands as you embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the willingness to show up as your real self without hiding behind masks. When you allow yourself to be seen truthfully, you create deeper connections with others and with yourself. This authenticity makes your identity stronger rather than exposed. Strength built from vulnerability becomes unshakable. Stepping into your true identity also requires learning to release the guilt associated with choosing yourself. You may have been conditioned to believe that prioritizing your needs is selfish, but as you grow, you understand that honoring yourself is essential for becoming the person you're meant to be. Releasing this guilt liberates your spirit. Liberation creates emotional space. This space allows your identity to flourish. Your identity transforms when you value consistency more than intensity. Consistency builds character, shapes discipline, and reinforces self-belief. Even small but steady actions begin influencing how you view yourself. Each consistent step becomes evidence that you are capable of long-term transformation. This evidence strengthens your sense of identity. A strengthened identity supports deeper growth. Stepping into your true identity also means redefining your boundaries. Boundaries become the structure that protects your emotional and mental evolution. When you limit access to those who drain your energy, your inner world becomes more stable. This stability makes it easier to grow into your authentic self. Protection becomes a form of self-love. Self-love shapes the identity you are becoming. Your identity deepens when you accept that growth requires discomfort. You understand that every new level of your life will challenge you. These challenges refine your character. Instead of resisting them, you learn to embrace them as essential steps. Each challenge you overcome adds strength to your identity. This strength becomes part of your internal foundation. Stepping into the identity you are meant to become also involves embracing change without fear. Change becomes the gateway to expansion. You stop clinging to what feels familiar and start trusting what feels aligned. Alignment leads you to experiences that help you grow. Growth shapes your identity from the inside out. Your inner evolution becomes reflected in how you move through the world. Your identity becomes clearer as you align your choices with your future rather than your past. Each forward-focused decision reinforces the person you're becoming. You stop repeating cycles that held you still. Instead, you build habits that elevate your life. This elevation becomes a daily practice. A practiced elevation shapes your new identity. As your identity rises, you begin carrying yourself with a new level of certainty. You trust your voice, your intuition, and your direction. This certainty influences how you speak, act, and show up. Others notice the shift even before you fully understand it. This recognition affirms your growth. Affirmed growth strengthens your sense of self. By the time you fully step into the identity you were meant to become, you realize how much of your life was lived in limitation. Now you move with purpose, clarity, and intention. You no longer shrink to fit old versions of yourself. Instead, you rise into the life that reflects your true capability. Your identity becomes aligned with your vision, and your vision becomes aligned with your future. And for the first time, you feel like you are finally becoming who you were always meant to be. Creating a lifestyle that reflects your evolution begins with understanding that who you are becoming must be supported by the way you live each day. Your growth cannot thrive in an environment built for your old habits, old patterns, and old versions of yourself. As you evolve internally, your external world must shift to match it. This alignment between inner and outer worlds creates harmony that strengthens your transformation. When your lifestyle mirrors your growth, every part of your life feels like it's moving in the same direction. Your lifestyle begins to change when you start honoring your needs with sincerity. You listen to what your mind, body, and spirit require, not what you've been conditioned to tolerate. You choose rest over depletion, clarity over chaos, and purpose over convenience. These subtle shifts begin constructing a life grounded in intention. Intention becomes the glue that holds your evolution together. With intention, your daily actions feel meaningful rather than mechanical. A lifestyle that reflects your evolution requires removing anything that keeps you tied to who you used to be. You notice which habits pull you backward and which environments trigger old cycles. By acknowledging these connections, you gain the power to reshape them. Reshaping your surroundings creates space for growth to expand. This expansion feels like clearing a path for your upgraded identity to move freely. Freedom becomes the foundation of your new lifestyle. Your daily choices become the blueprint of your future. When you evolve, these choices shift naturally. You start valuing consistency more than intensity and progress more than perfection. Each choice becomes a reflection of the person you are becoming. This kind of alignment strengthens your confidence. Your confidence enhances your ability to maintain your transformation. Maintaining this transformation becomes part of your lifestyle rather than a temporary phase. Creating a lifestyle that matches your evolution also means prioritizing peace. Peace becomes a requirement, not a luxury. You clear out environments that drain you, minimize interactions that disturb you, and create systems that simplify your life. This protection of your peace enhances your emotional stability. Stability gives you space to grow without feeling overwhelmed. With stability, your evolution becomes smoother and more sustainable. Your lifestyle shifts when you start viewing time as a valuable resource. You stop wasting it on situations that offer little growth or fulfillment. Instead, you invest your time in actions that move you closer to your vision. This investment reshapes your routines and strengthens your discipline. Discipline becomes a tool that keeps your evolution grounded in action rather than intention alone. With discipline, your lifestyle begins reflecting your commitment. Creating a lifestyle aligned with your evolution also involves redefining your social circle. You begin drawn to people who match your mindset, respect your boundaries, and share your dedication to growth. These connections uplift you rather than drain you. They provide inspiration rather than distraction. As your relationships elevate, so does your environment. Elevated environments nurture elevated identities. Your identity continues rising with support rather than resistance. Your habits become a powerful indicator of your evolution. The habits you adopt reveal the standards you hold for yourself. When these habits reinforce your growth, your lifestyle becomes an extension of your transformation. You learn to choose behaviors that nourish your mental and emotional well-being. This nourishment strengthens your resilience. Resilience helps you move through challenges without losing your sense of direction. A lifestyle that reflects your evolution requires confidence in your own choices. You stop asking for permission to change and start honoring your own vision. This internal authority shapes the energy you bring into every aspect of life. People begin noticing the shift not just in what you do, but in how you carry yourself. Your presence becomes rooted in clarity. Clarity becomes the guiding force of your lifestyle. Your environment plays a major role in your evolution. You begin creating spaces that support focus, inspire creativity, and encourage self-reflection. These spaces become sanctuaries that help you stay aligned with your new identity. When your environment supports your evolution, growth feels natural rather than forced. Natural growth is sustainable. Sustainability turns transformation into a way of living. Creating a lifestyle that mirrors your evolution also means clearing emotional space. You release guilt, resentment, and expectations that no longer serve your growth. As these emotions fade, your heart becomes lighter. A lighter heart creates room for deeper joy, stronger purpose, and healthier relationships. These emotional shifts become part of your daily experience. Each day feels more aligned with the person you're becoming. Your lifestyle changes as your standards increase. You stop tolerating what drains you and start welcoming what uplifts you. This shift influences everything: how you work, how you rest, how you think, and how you respond. You begin choosing quality over convenience. Quality becomes a reflection of your self-worth. Self-worth becomes a driving force behind your lifestyle decisions. As you evolve, your future becomes clearer. You start making choices that bring you closer to that vision, rather than keeping you attached to the past. These choices build momentum. Momentum transforms your evolution into a continuous process. You stop growing only during difficult moments and start growing intentionally every day. This consistency becomes part of your identity. Your lifestyle also shifts when you learn to trust your intuition. You begin sensing when something aligns with your growth and when it distracts from it. This internal guidance system becomes stronger as you honor it. Intuition protects your peace and directs your decisions. With intuition guiding you, your lifestyle becomes intentional rather than reactive. A lifestyle that reflects your evolution includes taking accountability for your emotional needs. You no longer wait for others to provide validation or stability. You create it within yourself. This independence strengthens your emotional foundation. A strong emotional foundation supports a resilient lifestyle. Resilience keeps you moving forward, even on difficult days. Your lifestyle expands when you embrace opportunities that stretch your comfort zone. Growth often requires stepping into spaces that challenge you. These challenges refine your confidence and deepen your self-understanding. Each new experience becomes part of your evolving identity. As you accumulate these experiences, your lifestyle becomes richer, deeper, and more aligned with your purpose. Creating a lifestyle that reflects your evolution also means honoring your rest. You stop glorifying burnout and start valuing recovery. Rest becomes a vital part of your progress. When you rest intentionally, your mind sharpens, your focus returns, and your energy rises. This balance between effort and recovery ensures that your evolution remains sustainable. Sustainability gives your lifestyle longevity. As your lifestyle shifts, you begin noticing how strongly your environment influences your thoughts. You curate what you consume mentally and emotionally. You choose content, conversations, and influences that support your growth. This curation becomes a habit. Habits shape your identity. Your identity becomes grounded in growth rather than stagnation. Your lifestyle finally begins reflecting your evolution when your actions, habits, and choices align with your vision. You feel connected to your path in ways you once only imagined. Each day becomes an opportunity to embody who you are becoming. This embodiment turns transformation into a living experience. You no longer chase growth, you live it. By the time your lifestyle reflects your evolution, you feel a deep sense of harmony between your inner world and your outer world. Your decisions support your future, your habits energize your path, and your environment nurtures your identity. Everything begins working together rather than against you, and for the first time, life feels aligned with who you are and who you are destined to become. Living as the empowered version of yourself begins with recognizing that empowerment is not something you acquire, it is something you uncover. It exists beneath layers of hesitation, doubt, and old conditioning that once taught you to shrink. As you shed these layers, you begin feeling a strength that has always belonged to you. This strength grows each time you choose decisions aligned with your truth rather than your fears. And with each aligned decision, your empowered identity becomes more defined. Empowerment shows itself in how you respond to life rather than how life treats you. You stop allowing circumstances to dictate your worth. Instead, you respond with clarity, self-respect, and intention. This response becomes a reflection of your emotional maturity. Emotional maturity strengthens your presence. Your presence begins influencing the world around you in a way you once didn't believe possible. Influence becomes a natural extension of your growth. Living empowered means choosing yourself without apology. You begin prioritizing your needs, honoring your boundaries, and listening to your intuition. These acts may feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you spent years silencing your desires for the comfort of others. But the more you practice self-honoring, the more natural it becomes. This new normal creates an inner stability that cannot be shaken by external chaos. Stability becomes a core element of your empowered life. Your empowerment grows when you trust your voice. You stop censoring your thoughts to avoid discomfort or rejection. Instead, you speak from your truth, knowing that authenticity is far more valuable than approval. Speaking from authenticity attracts connections that respect your voice. These connections reinforce your confidence. Confidence becomes the fuel that supports your empowered identity. Living empowered also means understanding that your energy is a gift, not a resource for everyone to take freely. You choose where to invest it with intention, ensuring it goes toward what aligns with your purpose. This selectivity creates balance, because your energy is no longer controlled by demands that drain you. Balanced energy allows you to show up fully in the areas that matter most. This fullness becomes a sign of your empowerment. Your identity strengthens when you no longer fear being misunderstood. The empowered version of you knows that clarity within yourself matters more than the approval of others. You understand that not everyone will grasp your purpose, your boundaries, or your growth. Instead of shrinking to avoid confusion, you stand firm in your evolution. Standing firm deepens your self-respect. Self-respect shapes your decisions. Living empowered also means releasing the belief that you must carry everything alone. Strength is not the denial of support, it is the wisdom to accept it when needed. You begin inviting people into your life who uplift, encourage, and inspire you. Their presence reminds you that growth is both a personal and communal journey. With the right support, your empowered identity expands even further. Expansion becomes a sign of alignment. As you embody empowerment, your standards rise naturally. You refuse to accept behaviors, environments, or relationships that undermine your worth. This refusal is not rooted in pride. It is rooted in self-awareness. You understand the cost of lowering your standards, and you no longer pay it. Instead, you choose alignment over attachment. Alignment becomes a guiding principle for your life. Your empowered self emerges fully when you stop fearing change. You welcome it because you recognize that transformation is the path to your highest potential. Each change brings lessons that refine your character. These lessons shape your resilience. Resilience ensures that you remain grounded, even when the world shifts unexpectedly. Your grounded nature becomes a reflection of your inner strength. Living empowered also requires embracing responsibility for your future. You stop waiting for circumstances to shift and begin initiating the shifts yourself. This sense of agency strengthens your ability to navigate challenges. Challenges no longer intimidate you. They become opportunities to practice your growth. With each challenge overcome, your identity becomes more refined. Refinement deepens your empowerment. Your empowerment shows in the way you treat yourself. You give yourself grace while holding yourself accountable. You allow yourself rest without losing momentum. You acknowledge your flaws without losing confidence. This balance creates emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence elevates your entire lifestyle. Elevated living becomes a natural outcome of your growth. Living empowered also means embracing the power of your choices. You understand that every decision you make shapes the direction of your life. With this awareness, you no longer make choices rooted in fear or scarcity. You choose from possibility, abundance, and self-worth. These choices shape a future that aligns with your highest self. Your future becomes a reflection of your empowered identity. Your identity strengthens each time you walk away from what no longer aligns with your peace. You understand that leaving is not a sign of weakness, but a declaration of self-respect. Each step away from environments that diminish you becomes a step toward environments that elevate you. This movement creates space for transformation. Transformation becomes evidence of your empowerment. Living empowered also means trusting your intuition, even when it challenges logic. Intuition reveals what your mind tries to overlook. When you follow it, you navigate life with more clarity and alignment. This alignment helps you avoid unnecessary detours. It guides you toward connections, opportunities, and experiences that match your evolution. Your reliance on intuition becomes a hallmark of your empowered self. Your empowerment becomes undeniable when you no longer see yourself through the lens of your past. You recognize that your future is shaped by who you choose to be now, not by who you once were. This shift releases you from old narratives that held you back. Without those narratives, you move with freedom. Freedom deepens your sense of identity. Identity becomes anchored in who you are becoming. Living empowered requires embracing your potential without hesitation. You stop dimming your abilities to fit into spaces that no longer serve you. Instead, you shine with intention, knowing that your light is meant to illuminate your path. This light attracts opportunities aligned with your growth. Opportunities expand your world. Expansion becomes part of your empowered lifestyle. Your empowered identity strengthens as you practice presence. You learn to focus fully on what is in front of you, rather than dwelling on what has passed or worrying about what has not yet arrived. This presence enhances your clarity. Clarity sharpens your decisions. Sharp decisions create aligned outcomes. These outcomes reinforce your empowered identity. Living empowered also means transforming your relationship with failure. You see failure as feedback, not defeat. Each setback becomes a chance to improve, to adjust, to rise stronger. This approach eliminates fear and replaces it with curiosity. Curiosity opens new doors. New doors offer new paths. Each path supports your empowered evolution. Your identity becomes more vibrant as you embrace joy without guilt. You allow yourself to experience happiness without questioning whether you deserve it. This acceptance of joy strengthens your emotional resilience. Resilience makes your empowerment feel natural rather than forced. Natural empowerment becomes the core of who you are. By the time you fully live as the empowered version of yourself, you realize that empowerment is not a moment, it is a lifestyle. It is reflected in your choices, your boundaries, your intentions, and your presence. You no longer live in reaction to life. You create your life with clarity and purpose. You stand with a grounded strength that cannot be shaken. And in that strength, you discover a truth you always carried within you. Empowerment was never something you had to find, only something you had to choose. Your transformation doesn't end here. It continues in the choices you make after this final word, in the standards you raise, in the boundaries you reinforce, and in the habits you refuse to abandon. Upgrading every single thing in your life isn't a one-time shift. It's a commitment to becoming someone who refuses to return to old versions of themselves. You've rebuilt your mind, refined your energy, clarified your direction, and stepped into an identity rooted in strength rather than survival. This journey has shown you that your future is shaped not by luck, but by intention. You now carry the awareness that your life expands every time you choose growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, and self-respect over settling. The person you are becoming is not accidental. They are the result of every internal upgrade you've dared to make. As you move forward, remember this: the power to evolve will always belong to you. Your life will rise to meet the level of your courage, your discipline, and your belief in what's possible. Keep choosing the upgraded version of yourself. Keep stepping toward the life that reflects your potential, not your past. Because once you decide to upgrade everything, you never return to anything less. And from here on, your future will only grow as boldly as you do.